There is a light at the end of the tunnel and you are looking at it. What's going on, guys? I've got a very exciting video here to share with you. I'll let past self explain it because it's going to excite you even more for the content that is to come here on the channel. So with that being said, hope you guys enjoy this one, and if you do, drop a like on the video and of course subscribe. You want to see more content like this, be safe, be humble, and of course, do what you do best. Peace. Got my blood tank behind me. Oh boy, I crossed my legs. That means we're gonna have a deep discussion here. So I did a little something off stream that I kind of cheated on you guys. I beat a run with the Watcher off stream. Okay, I actually beat a run with the Watcher not once, not twice, but 3 times off stream. But I didn't do the Act 4 ending or whatever the f. I just was trying some things. And I really wish I was streaming, to be honest with you, because those runs were incredible. They were so good. But I couldn't wait, okay? Like, and I think for my own mental, how's it going, Gavin? For my own mental health, like, I might even just kick back my seat like this and talk to you guys like this. I will show you guys some clips and I'll show you some stats too of like my relics and stuff that I had. This dude's playing without us. I know I've felt kind of bad, but at the same time I was kind of like, you know, for my own sake, I do need to like figure this thing out. And every single time I was on stream playing this game, I felt like I was just playing it wrong or just not understanding it. Like, you guys are probably gonna see a very different playstyle for me playing going forward, because like I had some really oh Jesus Christ, I almost died. Okay, we're going back even farther now, so now you can't even see my face, so now it's just gonna be this. Yeah, I have 3 runs I want to show you, but it's not, I only have a few clips. I've been working on synergies. I need to just show you like what I mean by like synergies here. I've been trying to figure out, like, I've been planning my runs based off of like facing elites now. So like, I don't know how many relics I would have in the past in my runs, but I would always take routes where I would have to at least fight an elite on each act. So like, here's a screenshot of one of them, where you'll see one, I have 104 block during a fight with the shifting. This was this a Matra run, or was this the other run? I think this was the Coalescence run, but I got an achievement for having 104 block. Well, I mean, these are a lot of relics here to me. Like, look at all these relics. That's even more than the last one. This relic right here that I'm hovering my mouse over, that's a Matra relic. I did a run where it was a Matra build. So here's the relic. It's called Damaru, I believe. I could be saying that wrong. But at the start of your turn, gain 1 Matra. So it was like every turn you get a Matra, but then here was my like starting cards. So I had strikes, I had block cards, but you'll notice that I don't have as many defend cards, because there was something in this run that I've never done in the past where it asked you like, do you want to remove cards? And the reason these are upgraded was because I went into an event room that allows you to upgrade all your strike and defense. So it wasn't like I went to a bunch of smithings. But look at this. Devotion upgraded. So instead of it being 2, it was 3. I had 3 of those. And then I had 2 brilliances, which stack on Matra. That was insane. Then I had 2 of these, which you gain 2 Matra and 4 block. So if I had 3 power cards of these, if I had 3 of them, I was getting 9 Matra every turn. On top of that, I had a Ragnarok. By the way, if you guys watch some of my older videos, if you watch some of my older videos on YouTube or older VODs, look how many cards I have up here on the top right. 26. If you look at my past VODs, I'd have 40, 45. So what does that tell you? These past runs that I have been doing off stream, I've experimented and tried a lot of different things. I've been skipping cards. I've been focusing on synergies. I've been doing more different builds, all these different kind of things to try to figure out what works and what doesn't. And it was a point during this run, this specific one in general, that I was like, there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason why I need to keep trying to get other cards, because I've got this amazing deck going. Like when you go into Divinity and you have Ragnarok, If you don't know what divinity is, it makes your deck, any of your basic cards go 3 times the amount of damage. So this Ragnarok that I'm hovering my mouse over would do 15 damage 5 times to a random enemy. That's 75 damage to just one card if you're in divinity. These cards, oh my god, they were insane. Look at this. When I was in divinity, again, look at this, look at the bottom. I was at 9, and then the next turn, I would get divinity again to go basically an endless amount of divinity with this deck. I was fighting the time guy. I was doing 135 damage to him with this one specific card. On top of that, I had a synergy going with this thing called Talk to the Hand, which I'll get into as well, because this was something I also learned. This was huge in my run. Hold on, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. This was also huge in said run. I thought the run was over. But there's always an event in Act 3 where this can happen, and it said heal to full HP, lose max 11. And then before that fight, I had another event where I went and I fought a boss from Act 1, and I got that boss easily beaten. But then look at this, same thing from Act 2, Brilliance, 129 damage to this guy. If you see right here, it's kind of covering it, but his health currently is at, I think, 120 out of 420 health. So I killed him in just one fucking turn. I was like, dude, this is insane. And by the way, look at this too, 23 cards. That means in Act 3, I only picked up 3 more cards. But now I take a screenshot of this because I'm showing you guys now, we now can do ascension runs with the Watcher. So that's really, really, really cool. I encountered these guys off stream and beat them for the first time off stream. Again, I wish I was streaming this, but if you look at this card called the Establishment, which I'll get into Slay the Spire. I'll get into the game and show you stuff too. This is kind of a different little start to the stream, but I just kind of want to show you like these cool little synergies, things that I was doing, the way that I was playing, and it was a lot of fun. We'll show you this too. I'm not going to read all of it, but I'm just going to give you a perspective of what I mean by I needed help. I read this massive thread from this guy that posted something 9 months ago on the Slay the Spire Reddit, and he talked about basically how to win more runs with your deck building strategy. It wasn't necessarily like a spoiler to me. It was these 3 questions right here that I have that I'm highlighting. Don't know if you guys can see that, but basically this is how I've been kind of trying to play the games. I know that Jimmy was in here one time and he said, like, you know, when you play the game, like try to have more attack cards and then go for skill cards in Act 2. That didn't really help me because it was like I was trying that with one of my runs and I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So I was like, I need a more like just defined in-depth thing. And he would go through and he would say this: will this card help me with my immediate problems, the elites? Will this card help me solve my long-term problems, Act 1 boss? Or will this card help me with my current cards and relics to solve these problems? When I kind of put myself in that mindset to play the game, that all of a sudden is why I got 3 wins with the Watcher. And I'm telling you right now, when I did those runs, and I'll show you my face because I don't need to keep staying on the screen because as I want to emphasize how important this is. When I would do those said runs on any singular point, no matter what it was, I felt like I was skipping bosses in Act 3. I was never pushing to those said things. I was skipping, moving on, not giving a crap. How many hours am I into this game? And all of a sudden now I'm trying to fight elites to get certain endings and certain things to get this Act 4 stuff, and I'm running into enemies I never even prepped for. So with the Watcher, what I did off stream, and also with the Silent, and you know, probably other characters I'll probably do off stream as well, is like practicing. Not trying to always get to Act 4 because I do want to stream that stuff, but I would always try my best to be like, try and not be so afraid of elites here. Okay, I used to get really mad and really upset when I would just die to the dumbest things, but I'm getting mad because I'm like, whatever happened? I was winning runs before, and I'm gonna be really honest, I think I was just getting lucky. Shit was just working, things were just happening, and it was just is what it is. And I was like, and I can see how a very passionate Slay the Spire fan or somebody who really enjoys Slay the Spire could pull their hair out watching me play, just getting away with it because I'm just clicking buttons. And I don't want to be that way because I know once I get to an Ascension runs or I get into obviously these trying to get to Act 4 runs, the game stops you and says, wrong, you're playing it incorrectly. So I kept using those same strategies like I was when I was trying to do whatever, but that can get boring after a while. And I do want to play the game correctly, you know, in some sort of fashion. Maybe I'm being too hard on myself. Maybe I have been playing it fine. But the problem is when you have 40 plus cards in your deck, or even 50 at that point, you just start losing the whole purpose of what you're supposed to be doing. And I think personally, to me, the less cards you have in your deck, when you do die, you can remember and go, it's because I probably should have picked up this. I should have done that. I just didn't get these cards. I didn't have this, whatever, because you are needing to go for a specific build. You start Act 1 with the build that you're given, and you try to bounce off of that continuously. The whole purpose of synergy or understanding was one thing I was never really doing, was trying to use like power cards with your build. But there is a point in this thread that talks about or says like, don't just skip elites, because that's your chance of like, the elites basically tell you, chat, if your deck is strong enough to continue to go. So if you're struggling with elites, that's probably a good sign that you're going to lose. I would face every single elite possible. I had one run where I took a path and it said there were 4 elites in my direction. And I'm like, I'm doing that. I'm fighting 4 elites. Let's go. And because again, in the past, how I would used to play is I go for question marks and go for rest sites. You're missing the most important thing that also can completely change your run and add synergies to it, which is relics. The other thing that I think Gavin talked briefly about this when we were talking yesterday, but he said like he uses sometimes he will use that remove a card thing, like sell a card or get rid of it for like 50 in the shop. But I would always do that for only curse cards. It's like I could technically do that if I wanted to just do it for my standard cards. The other thing that I used to do a lot when I would play is I'd always upgrade my standard cards. And then I read a bunch of shit that says like, those are your weakest cards, so there is no reason to upgrade them. Like the last thing that you want almost more than anything is to just not have those cards. Like it helps you in the beginning, but like in the very first few fights, but really when it really comes down to it, what's going to get you the win are your relics. What's going to get you the win are your synergies that you're having and developing. And it makes me want to dive in even more and gets me very, very, very excited to continuously keep going, if you will, on a lot of this. So like, I'm going to break this down into wins. I'm going to break this down into the watcher. And I'm just going to show you the last 3 runs I did. So here's the first one. So what we're looking at here, in case you're confused on what's going on, is this is the top of all the enemies that you did in this order. You know, floor 1 all the way to floor 51. Here is 1 act. Here is 2 acts. Here's 3 acts. Okay. And then it tells you all the relics. So I had 18 relics, but here are the wins. Okay. Here's 18 relics for this one. Here's 18 for this one. And here's 16 for this one. Okay. If I've ever gotten wins, this might be a really bad example when it comes to like, I'm just showing you other wins I've gotten, you know, like the silent, I had 20, I had 13, and I had 13. Look at this. 13, 42 cards, 45 cards, 13 relics, and I'm winning. I don't know why, but I guess I'm winning. Great. Cool. I don't know how I'm getting away with it. And even just looking at this now, I'm going, why do I have 2 sneaky strikes? There's no reason for having 2 sneaky strikes if you don't have a lot of discard cards, which I don't even think I really did in this run. So here I fought an elite on each floor. I fought an elite here. I fought an elite there. And I fought an elite there. So different. I'm just showing you a comparison before we do the new, I mean. Look at this one, chat. The blue, only 1 elite, 13 relics. But you know what got me the win? 2 catalysts, which I guess is huge. And I got extremely lucky. I remember that exact run too. And then the caltrops. The deadly poison. We had a crazy poison. This was my first run I ever beaten with the silent. This to me tells me the one thing that carried you was just getting the right cards and not necessarily the right relics. Because I look at this now and I think if I would have played this differently, we also had this relic too, which was with caltrops. So we had this relic. Sometimes I wasn't, honestly, to be really truthful with you, I wasn't even paying attention to sometimes the relics we have. Some people were watching me and they were like, dude, this is crazy. You have 2 caltrops, which allow you to do 5 damage back to a person. 2 of them as power cards. And then on top of this, you're doing thorns, which means you're doing, if you get 2 of them stacked, you're doing 13 damage every time an enemy attacks you. Like you're fucking stacked in damage. So even at that point, do I really need the catalyst? Do I really need the deadly poison? No, I'm overstacking my cards at this point. And I should have, if I'm looking at this run in general, just focus on caltrops and defensive cards. because there was nothing else you could have just been like, caltrops carry me to victory. Like, I'm good. I'll just stack up on skill cards and go from there. Let's really focus on the first win I did with the Watcher. The first thing I want to tell you is right away, if you just remember what I just showed you, chat. It just showed you. I'm going to go again one more time, okay? Just so if you're paying the fuck attention. First run I ever beat with the Silent, 1 elite, okay? Then I took these strategies that I learned on Reddit, other stuff, whatever I was researching, other things I was looking into, bookmarked these so I could do a little more diving and playing the game a little more correctly. First run I beat with the Watcher takes me 2.5 hours, and look at how many elites we fought. 2 in the first act, 2 in the second act, 2 in the third act. Do you know what I mean? And then again, look at the cards for my first run I ever did. We're only comparing the Silent because I think it's just a good example. We can compare the Defect, sure. 40 cards, 15 relics, but only 1 elite, I feel like what's carrying me to victory is stacking more cards than trying to build a proper deck. And if you're going for Ascension runs or what are those other things you're doing, you need to not play the way that I've been playing, essentially is what I'm saying, right? It's just not going to guarantee you victory. It's going to punish you. And you know what carried me to victory with this? 3 cards. The Talk to the Hand, okay? What this does is it deals 7 damage whenever you attack this enemy, gain 3 block exhaust. And then Omniscience. So what this is you choose a card in your draw pile, play the chosen card twice and exhaust it. Okay, that was a synergy that I was running a lot. If I got this card, I went and I drew it, and then I went and I did this card, and I chose to do it twice on an enemy so that it would technically do 6 block every time I would attack said enemy, and it was really helping. And then on top of that, I had a bunch of retain cards. So I had like Protect, I had Tranquility, I had this card. So it was synergizing really well with Establishment, okay? But it said whenever a card is retained, it reduced its combat cost by 1. So like if I ever saw this and I had a power card in my deck, I would wait 2 turns to use this, so it would cost 0 energy. Guarantee you past me, if I would have done that, what I more than likely would have done is I would have just like probably never picked up this card and actually tried to like use it and utilize it correctly, and I would never try to focus on just retain cards. But the fact that we did 30 cards only in this run and we won is because we were doing a great synergy build. Also, I had a lot of draw card in this deck too. So like Study was something where it would add Insight, which would allow you to use 0 energy to retain 2 cards. I had this, so I would have extra energy in my cards. I had 2 of them, so I could really plan like how much energy I'd want to use. And this also synergized really well with Omniscience since it requires 4 energy. Chat, I could go on and on and on about how different I play this game now. Like I used this so that it could synergize with Retain, so that at another turn it would cost 0 block. So what I was really doing is I could almost in 1 turn use 0 energy because I had this card. I had Establishment. Basically I could have used this, and this up here. 36 block for 0 energy. And this is a big reason why too I got that achievement known as Impervious. It says have 99 or more block during combat. I unlocked that on March 21st at 9:35 p.m. And then on top of that too, I had this, which was another thing I was synergizing really well. At the end of your turn, gain 1 block for each card in your hand. So sometimes I was just like being like, I don't need to do anything. We're good. I'm fine. I don't need to grab anything. I would remove cards in my deck, right? So that I think I chose to remove 2 defensive cards, I believe, because I wanted to have a higher chance of getting my Protect and whatever else the other cards I was using. You know what I mean? I tried so many different things. This right here though was like the turning point of the freaking thing. It was my last relic I got. Every 6 turns gain 1 intangible. Once I saw that, I was like, dude, this run's over. Like I'm winning. It was really, really well done. I was very, very pleased with that one. So that was the first run. Longest run I ever had. Okay. Second run, 26 cards. This was the Devotion run. This was the Matra run, whatever you want to call it. This was the one I was showing a little earlier with the screenshots. Was insane. Just didn't need any more than this. And then again, we can look on the top. Elites. We fought 6 elites, 5 elites in total. There was a point, I think, too, where I probably could have fought an elite, but I had to skip because of my health was so bad. And I would rather lose. I would rather lose a run. Like if I got Matra like early, like this card early, and I'm now kind of trying to focus on like a good build, I would rather just lose that run, because like I don't want to just like have a bunch of like random cards and then I never get devotion or any of those things, because it's not going to synergize well with that said relic. It's just not going to make sense. But that was so cool. That run didn't even need to rush through it, and it only took me an hour and 10 minutes. By the way, too, look at the time for this one. 6:09 a.m. Like, talk about I'm losing sleep over this game. So I'm sometimes just trying to understand it. I think I woke up at like, this would have been if this run started at what time ever it ended, or whatever time I beat it at. I probably woke up at like 3 or 3:30 in the morning, and I just got out of bed and I'm like, I'm just going to try this out and just see how it fucking goes. It's going to bother me if I don't get it. But then this was the most recent one. Again, look at all the elites I fought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The trend is, for me, is to try to fight at least 6 elites, or fight at least whatever, because I feel like that's where the runs get. And I don't honestly, I'm looking at these cards and I'm going, oh, this was another, like, this run was so weird because I had like Matra again, but I only had 1, but then I had this, but then I also had this too. So I kind of had like another Matra build going. Did I have establishment? I did have establishment. So it was like kind of like a mix of like an establishment and a mix of a devotion, because I'm looking at battle hymn, because that allows you to retain a card that can also cost 0. So imagine like having a bunch of these cards with establishment and devotion or Matra. If you, because what battle hymn does is at the start of turn, you can do this. So if you just keep stacking these up and retaining them, and then you have this power card that you used, you could be doing like, I don't know, I think there wasn't a turn that I was doing. I think I'll show you guys how insane it was. If this was my most recent one, my cards were fucking insane, the amount of damage I was doing. But I think this was the one I also had expunger too. But right now, these are my power cards. I have a Deva form, which this was insane. This allows you basically to get energy every turn added onto it. I was also kind of having this crazy Matra build going, and then this little icon here that's hovering on my mouse is that establishment, where you can, where your power, anything you retain will cost 0 over time. So Sands of Time is a card that decreases on its own, but if you had Power of Establishment, that even makes it decrease faster. What I'm showing you here is the amount of damage I was doing. Okay, right now I'm at 14 block. I'm like, oh god, I don't think I can do much here. I might die or take a bunch of damage, whatever. But I'm looking at my deck. I'm just kind of thinking about what I want to do. I'm thinking, like, I look at that, I look at this, and I'm like, well, I kind of want to retain it because I want it to cost 0 the next turn. I'm looking at Smite, thinking the same thing. So I'm like, I think I choose Study here. Just knowing my brain and where I'm at right now, I probably would choose Study, because I'm hoping that I can do something with that. All these cards now are costing 0. So if you look at that Sands of Time, remember it cost 2. Well, if you know what Sands of Time is, basically it decreases its energy per turn, but with Establishment it decreases by 2. So at the end of this turn, all those cards besides Miracle, that's always 0. Now all these cards for the next turn are going to cost 0. Okay, so now after this turn, since my Divinity is at 8, I'm going to go into Divinity. My Matra is at 8. I'm going to go into a Divinity since I'm getting Devotion or 3 Matra every turn. I just watch this. This energy is at 8, which I don't even know how that is right now. But all of a sudden I look and I just stop. Okay, I'm at 13 energy. 13, and I'm thinking to myself, going, "Holy crap!" Okay, like I can easily kill this head, like no problem. Okay, like there's no issue. Because look at all the energy costs. I don't even have to use all this energy. On top of this too, I can draw more retain cards. I can draw more retain cards if I wanted. And do even more, but there's no reason. I'm kind of spoiling this one here, but I'll show you here in just a actually, you know what? Before we even show that one, let's do this. Let's do this one. So this is the expunger. Okay, I tried to, oh, it's called Coger Blade, not Expunger. Okay, that's the name of it. So I see that there's 6 here, and I'm looking at this card. I'm going, God, I really want to use this because we're doing like this devotion build, and he's got 420 out of 500 health right now. Okay, so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not in devotion yet, but God, what I'm almost doing now when I play this game, to be honest, chat, is I'm always planning my next move. I'm not planning what the move I want to do right now. I plan in the future and go, this is what I want to do for my next move. And if I can't live, or if I can't survive, or if I can't make it, it is what it is. It's how your cards are dealt. So like here I'm looking at my miracle cards with that Coger Blade, and I'm like, I kind of want to just be stupid here and just see what the fuck happens. So I use all my miracles because I have, again, another thing in my deck that allows me to have plus 2 miracles. So I'm just stacking this miracle right now. I'm at 11. I'm at 11 out of 3, and I'm like, all right, now I'm just thinking, let's use my 0 cards. All my 0 cards. Okay. All of my 0 cards. I'm just like, whatever, we'll just do this. Okay. So then I'm hovering over this guy. If you see this, it says deal 9 damage X amount of times. So I'm going to use all this energy to deal 9 damage to this enemy. So I'm like, yeah, let's do that. This card's legitimately now going to do 100 damage. Absolutely. And he's not attacking me this turn. He's going to do some type of buff or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, let's do this for the future. Maybe we'll get this card right away, and we'll see what happens. So I'll turn on the audio here so you can just hear this. Watch this. I'm hovering over right away. I'm like, we got to use it. He's at 413 health right now. Watch this. This is just a meme. Like, here we go. Just ticking. Tick, 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 tick. Just ticking away at his health. Doing all this fucking damage. And then the next clip is this one. Now I have the card when we're in Divinity. Chat, look at this. I didn't use this until the end, and I wish I would have just done this right away. But when you're in Divinity mode, this card now does 27 damage 11 times. And I did the math before the stream to look at this. And that's 297 damage in one turn. That does more damage than the screenshots that I was showing you earlier with. Like, this is broken. I was like, holy crap. And of course, this stuff has to be happening when I'm not streaming. Like, I don't think this will ever happen on stream. I'm just going to be honest. This is the type of shit that's only going to happen off stream. But thankfully, I was able to clip it and just show you guys. But I was only going for my 0 cards. I don't know if maybe I just wasn't paying attention to this expunger. I could have just used it and ended it because everything else was 0. If I scroll back a little bit, you'll see that. 13 energy with this. Dude, imagine if I had the relic known as Ice Cream, which basically conserves your energy and you don't lose it. Like, this run would be even more broken. So I just use all the other stuff first because I can. This is doing 78. Because it triples the damage. That's doing... Oh, and then on top of that too... Oh, I forgot about this. On top of this too, because he gets slowed for every attack you do. If I would have done this, if I would have had this somehow in the first turn, I'll just show you. That did 109 damage, by the way. Watch that. So this is where I'm saying this. If I would have been able to have him at super high health, 40 times 11, chat. If this was like the first thing, he would have been that would have been 440 damage. His health by default is 500. That would have just killed him instantly. This deck was so fucking crazy to the point where I was doing so much damage, and I wasn't skipping elites. I was fighting elites because I wanted to test the strength of my cards to know that if this deck is strong enough. And yeah, dude, this deck was insane. Another great example is, let's see. These, I guess, are kind of in 2 parts, but this is me encountering these guys. But we'll watch this whole thing. I'll just show you how this all unfolds. Right now, it's kind of looking a little scary because if you look at my deck, if you're looking at it with me, there isn't much blocking going on here. I'm kind of like, the only thing I really got is protect. You know, I use Matra to get my stuff up. I'm using my power cards for future turns. I want to make sure that that stuff is ready to go, because I know now that I have 5 here and I have Divinity 5, I'm going to have Devotion of 5 and then Matra of 5. The next turn I'm going to go in Divinity again anyways. So I'm just kind of planning. But just look at how much this guy at the start of this fight, by the way, had 163 health. Okay. $93 that card does for damage in Divinity. This card will do 30 since it does damage twice. So I'm trying to use the cards that are less energy first before the big ones, because I want to make sure it makes sense. And I want to make sure I try to use this scrawl too. I see Kojir Blade, but I don't think I use it because it doesn't make sense. But look at that. 1 HP. And then I'm like, you know what? I could protect. Did I protect, actually? I probably did, knowing I had to have protected, and then I probably scrawl. So then I'm like, all right, I'm blocking. So now technically I'm only going to take 16 damage once, but then scrawl goes again, and then watch this. It's almost like it full fucking resets. And I'm just looking at this going, holy shit. You know, just looking at all this. And I'm going, I get my Matra back up. Do the 27. Again, remember that one guy was at, this is all just one turn, chat. It's all just one turn. I do that so I can get extra energy. I use Matra there again, so now I'm at 9, so I'm gonna definitely be in Divinity again the next turn. I'm at 30 block now, so I'm just like, all right, sweet. And then we have this card, which I probably should have used first, thinking about it now, but that's okay, because we could have done some damage to the enemies. Because if you read that card, it basically makes it so that every time you play 5 cards in a single turn, you deal I should have done that one. That would have been even doing more damage. But that's all right. There was just a lot of cards in my deck. I was just like, I don't even know where the fuck to start here. Then the last clip is this one right here. What do I do here? I'm in Divinity. Do I do follow-up? I have to do follow-up. 30. Oh, wow, I do Matra. Okay. Trying to think ahead. Okay. I know the next turn I'm going to go. I guess I'm looking at his buff. Just knowing that I can get rid of it. Deva form too. Jesus. End the turn. So I retain that card for 27. I know I'm going to go into Matra again. I knew this run was over. No way. I'm just like reading things. I've totally forgot I had Lizard Tail up here too, which is if you die, you get 50% of your HP back. So I think immediately what I do is I go straight for Sands of Time and I just end it. I have to. Obviously the way I play it too is even if I know I can win, I try to use the other cards first. I have all this energy, might as well just think ahead instead of just trying to end it. Like for example, perfect example is like going into Rage and doing that and then just being like, oh fuck, I lost because I was just trying to end it. So I did 39 there, and then I think I could have done 81, and I was like, just do the 81, end it. And it's like the damage was just freaking insane. Just knowing going forward, if you had any doubts about me playing this game and trying to make sure that I understand it, I think at this point it's a safe bet that one thing I'm doing, especially off stream, is I'm trying to learn certain things, but not trying to, like, you know, do anything too crazy without you guys. And I'm gonna be really honest, beating the Watcher run 3 times off stream and not doing the Act 4 thing, to me, is I think at the end of the last stream I said I might as well just try to just beat a run with the Watcher without trying to do whatever, because I feel like it's like hurting my ego, or I'm trying to do too much, because there's actually an achievement just for doing the Watcher run and beating. But then there's Amethyst Plus, which is what I'm trying to do, what I was trying to do for the longest time is trying to get I could have got 2 achievements done, I think, in one run, but technically it's almost canon in some sort of way to the devs as well to get a run done, beaten in Act 4 with this specific character. Like, she's almost like the calling to stop it all or whatever. The intentions or the mindset of how I play going forward have definitely changed. It isn't the same as it used to be, which I think is a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm trying to look for cards that make sense to my build and trying to do certain things. Like, I'm so excited to try this new strategy, if you will, into the game, because as we do ascension runs, like when you click on this, it tells you what happens. And I looked up what the other ones were to just see, and it's like you almost have to play this way. I don't even remember all of them, so I'm not even like spoiling myself. I just wanted to see how fucking crazy it can get, but it gets fucking wild. And I'm really excited to like share that journey with you guys, but I think at the same time too, I'm still gonna play this game off stream and do those things too, and just vibe with it, because I've been playing a lot. We're at currently in hours, I don't know the last time I was with you guys, but just telling you how much I have been playing since last. When I beat that Watcher run and I checked timestamp on Steam, I was at 100 hours. So it took me to beat all runs with all characters 100 hours, okay? That's, oh my god, cringe, that's embarrassing, blah, blah, whatever, it doesn't matter. But it took me 100 hours. I said it could take me a while, but look at now what we're at, 123. So I've been playing this game a lot the past, since you've seen me, trying to like get better, because I personally, to me, wasn't thinking in the back of my mind doing this stuff off stream, going and being like, do I want to just continue to be frustrated and continue to be annoyed and continue to get mad, or do I want to like just practice on your own and just talk to yourself out loud and just analyze these situations and see how things are going? It's definitely put a different mindset into what I'm doing when I play the game now, and it is I'm not going to say been more enjoyable, because I've obviously enjoyed the game, but the past like 30 hours that I've streamed it before hitting that Watcher run and winning it has been a struggle. So if you can't tell in my voice from this conversation that we've been having, you can clearly tell that I'm very excited to dive it back into this game even more, kind of like giving my love back to the game that I have 130 hours in. This is actually how much we have been playing the game. I'm going to go back to my last YouTube video where I beat the Ironclad, okay? I'm going to go back to that video, and I guarantee you at that point we were at 40 hours. Jesus Christ. I've been playing this game a lot. Here, I'll show you. Hide my little face cam here too so you can see my old mic. All these things. But it says on the top up here is 33 hours. That was back in December. We've been playing this game a lot. I've been taking this game very, very seriously, to say the least. Very, very, very seriously. The lighting is so different compared to back then. You can tell my face is definitely brighter on camera, which I prefer. It was so dark. But yeah, man, that's pretty freaking cool. It's pretty freaking cool.